Hey guys, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, your home of all things stock, investment, and personal finance related. In today's video, we're joined by the CEO and chairman of Veritone Incorporated, Ryan Steelberg. We're going to be discussing their recently reported Q2 earnings along with outlook and strategy for the remainder of the year. We've got a lot to go through. Before we get into it, take a second, hit the like button, guys. Big help to myself and the channel. If you're not already subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to join and let us know in the comment section below if you've heard of Veritone before and what you thought about their Q2 results. With that being said, let's get into today's interview. Okay guys, so that's right. Today's video, we're joined by Ryan Steelberg, the CEO and chairman of Veritone. Before we get into it, today's podcast is actually a paid partnership with Veritone. We're going to be covering their Q2 earnings and outlook moving forward. But before we get into that, Ryan, this is your first time on the channel. If you can give us a brief background on yourself and how you got involved with Veritone.
Well, I've been in the internet technology space right out of school from the mid-90s. I started one of the first ad delivery ad tech companies back in 1994 called AdForce. Was actually a big thing back in the day. We took it public, and so most of my career has been building successful internet advertising technology companies. More recently, I sold a business called DMark Broadcasting to Google in 2006. And I headed up a lot of their offline ad efforts, did a lot of work with YouTube in the early days, et cetera. I think the big common theme and thread there to what we're talking about and we'll be talking about today is, ad tech's a data problem. There's a reason why the transformer model and I'd say Google and those were some of the early developers, right, of these next generation AI models. And that's kind of my lifeline and my lifeblood has been sort of in the internet advertising technology space, which is the precursor to what we're doing today with AI.
Yeah, that's awesome. I look forward to hearing more about the AI platform. So fast forward to Veritone itself. For people who are maybe unfamiliar with your company or the stock, can you give us a quick overview of your current platform, the software, the services that you guys offer?
Started the business in 2014. Veritone is kind of a play on words, like truth in the signal, veritas and tone. I became kind of obsessed with unstructured data. And what I mean by that is, coming from an ad tech background, there was so much new content being produced by user-generated content. YouTube, obviously, we're sitting here on YouTube. It's a monster platform, the amount of content that's uploaded to it daily. The problem is machines couldn't understand what was inside the audio and video. And so, again, we said, what if we could harness enough cognitive-based AI models? And this is going back to 2012, right, even before we founded Veritone. And our vision was, could we do for audio and video what kind of Google search did for a primarily text-based web? Could I ingest enough audio and video and understand what's being said, what logos are on screen, the sentiment of the programming, and we felt that if we could do that at scale, there could be a lot of interesting business opportunities that could be derived from it. So that's what we did. Veritone, we're public on NASDAQ. We went public in 2017. We launched the business primarily working with media and entertainment customers. Our customers are like the ESPNs, CBS News, Amblin Entertainment, NBC Universal. And what we do for a lot of these larger media and entertainment customers is we are their kind of end-to-end AI platform for their content. We ingest all their content, audio and video. We leverage a multitude of different trained AI models to extract data from that. And then we turn into effective use cases. How can CBS News and how can CNBC generate more ad dollars? How can they optimize their programming? Understanding what's inside your audio and video is an important part of that equation. So Veritone has been around for over a decade, servicing hundreds of media and entertainment customers in helping them solve that exact same problem, right? Understanding their unstructured data at scale, and ultimately for them to improve their operational efficiencies and generate more revenue. More recently, which we'll get into, is we basically took that same technology stack And now we're working with both the federal government and state and local law enforcement because they also have a major data problem, right? Police officers have body cameras, there's dash cams, there's security cameras in every street corner in America now. We're producing more and more data, and we've created a killer and powerful solution to help bring understanding and value to that new tonnage of audio and video data that's being produced.
Yeah, makes sense. And obviously a huge market opportunity for this. I took a look at the investor deck, the clients, some of the partnerships you guys have, pretty impressive. I want to get into the government contracts in a second here. However, as I was in that investor deck, two specific areas came up that I wanted to get a bit of detail on before we get into the Q2 results, just to kind of help people understand or frame the picture here. The AIware and the Veritone Data Refinery, or the VDR, I believe you guys call it as your acronym. Can you give us an update on these two components of your platform?
So AIware is the name of our overreaching platform. So everything we build, all the applications that service all of our customers, is built on our own proprietary AI stack, end to end. That stack is platform agnostic. It's currently deployed on Azure. It's currently deployed on AWS. It also is deployed in FedRAMP, right? The government's secure cloud environment. And even in some instances, and we will talk about this more with the Air Force, it's being deployed in network isolated environments, airtight environments. So AIware is our platform, and everything we do runs on that. VDR, Veritone Data Refinery, is almost a really exciting new line of business for us. That's almost the exhaust. Over the last 10 years, we've ingested and sort of indexed tens of millions of hours of audio and video. And now what we're doing is working with our clients. We're turning that tonnage. We're talking about many petabytes of audio and video. We're turning that now into training data. So we're working now with the largest hyperscalers out there, those companies who are building the latest, greatest large language models, multimodality models, and we're using that tonnage of audio and video to help train those next generation AI models. That's VDR. There's a private company that's got a lot of press lately, just so people can put it in context. It's called Scale AI. You may have heard of it recently because that's the company that Meta just acquired more or less 51% of that business for at a valuation of $31 billion. Think of Veritone is now kind of the Scale AI, but experts on the audio and video side, right, of helping leverage audio and video to train these next generation models. So I would say if you look at overall reaching platform is AIware, a newer business line of ours, which is growing very, very quickly and is already contributing pretty material revenue in 2025, is VDR, Veritone Data Refinery.
Sure. Yeah, and I appreciate you clarifying those. So now that we have a bit of an understanding what your company's about, some of the history, some of the current platform services, I wanted to get into the Q2 results. So these are hot off the press. If you could maybe start off with some of the highlights or key points that people should be aware of from this round of earnings.
Well, I think first and foremost is, Veritone is on a great growth trajectory finally. We've been making investments in VDR and other areas. And I think what we disclosed, and obviously you can find more information on our investor website, is that we came in just above $24 million in revenue for the quarter, which was at the very high end or just slightly above the high end of our guide. So we're very excited and thrilled about that. I think more importantly is our guidance for Q3 and our guidance for the year. I think we improved above consensus from the sell side analysts. So we are seeing acceleration in overall demand for our products and services, but in particular, our pipeline for the public sector, including the DoD work we're doing, and what we just discussed, VDR, are outpacing some of our earlier projections. So hence why you saw kind of an improvement against the consensus out there for our Q3 guide. And we obviously brought up the bottom end of our year-end guide. And so we're becoming even more bullish there. So I'd say highlight is revenue came in at the top end, high end of our guide for Q2. We're very bullish about Q3 and Q4. And what we call our core AIware software lines of business, which includes VDR, they grew by over 45% in the second quarter year over year. So I think it's all systems go, and we're firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, I'd agree. Great set of numbers from what I was able to gather here since they were released. Now, I wanted to specifically talk about enterprises. We're going to get into the government portion next up, but in terms of the enterprise customers that you have, what would you say is kind of the most common problem you're solving? I understand that you're aggregating data, audio, visual, potentially for law enforcement. There's a security component to this. There's a marketing component. For most of your enterprise clients, what are they coming to you to solve?
So let's pick a different type of category. So as we mentioned, media and entertainment customers are a big area of our business. ESPN is a good example. ESPN is a data company. We know them as producing content, but in reality, they have to ingest, index, and organize data sources from all different types of feeds. They collect, cricket information from overseas. They have football highlights. They have a tonnage of content that they have to ingest, index, and aggregate. So they have an unstructured data problem. And now because content can be produced so cheaply, they're having to ingest and understand even that much more of a corpus of content. What we do for them is leveraging AI, is be able to index and organize and package that very, very quickly. So, for example, speed. When you're talking about sports information and news information, the speed that you have to get that information out is critical. Whether it's for fantasy sports or you and I want the latest scores of the ball game that just ended, 10 minutes ago. What we do is we make it. They used to have hundreds of interns, humans, that literally would manually tag content that they were ingesting and trying to prepare for, like, Sports Center. Our software now uses AI to index that very, very quickly. So now they can actually produce these personalized programs, push stuff out to social media, prepare Sports Center that much faster, and we do it at a fraction of the cost and at significant higher speeds. So it's a data problem. We help even media and entertainment customers take advantage of these technologies, of our AI platform, to make them be able to ingest, index, and understand their audio and video at tremendous scale very, very quickly.
Yeah, that's great. And on behalf of all the ESPN sports viewers in the audience, we appreciate you guys doing that for us, Ryan. Now, I wanted to get into the government component here. There's obviously a ton of data being created. Data sovereignty is another trend or theme we've covered extensively on the channel. You guys already have existing relationships with various different government entities. Can you talk about what's currently in place and then what this represents as a go-forward opportunity?
What's really interesting in the public sector space, they equally have a major unstructured data problem, but this is even more foreign to them. Right? As compared to, like, media and entertainment customers, their main product is the audio and video. When you kind of look at, and I'll give you really two examples of what we're doing in the public sector. One is state and local law enforcement, and the other one would be the federal government with, like, the Air Force. Let's start with state and local law enforcement. Beverly Hills Police Department, one of several hundred of our police, sheriff departments and police agency customers of ours, they have a data problem. In their city, they have police officers that have body cameras on them now. They have cars that have cameras on them. There are cameras across the city. There are sensors that are collecting data, and now they have to actually distill this down and try to make sense of this huge amount of unstructured, unruly data to help try to prosecute a case, or I like to say, find the bad guy faster. We've basically applied the same technology stack that we have sort of honed our expertise on in media and entertainment, and we've applied that now to the commercial segment, law enforcement segment, and the federal government. So again, now our job is to help Beverly Hills Police Department and other agencies across the United States quickly ingest all those crazy disparate data sources into a common data lake, leveraging AI to quickly make sense of it, and then turn that into applications and workflows. So in effect, they can prosecute cases faster, go through and make, proceed through investigations faster, with the ultimate goal of, we want these people to get back on the streets, right, taking care of our communities and our citizens, not becoming, data engineers, right, and having to stare at the keyboard all day. So again, it's been a great efficiency gain And it's been a great, kind of transparency community service offering that we brought to bear on state and local law enforcement. In the DoD space, we're doing a lot of the similar things. The data sets are different, as you can imagine, when we're working with the Air Force, but they also have a tremendous amount of unstructured data. Our federal government has facilities everywhere. There's actually a lot of the similar use cases of how we're servicing state and local law enforcement that we're now licensing our software for large government DoD and DOJ agencies, such as the Air Force, which is a recent big contract we just won, but also another big agency a lot of people haven't heard of. It's called the Defense Logistics Agency, DLA. That's the group that manages our bases, right, and our facilities everywhere. Another huge problem is they have security. They have a data problem, and they came to Veritone to help solve that problem. So those are just two DoD Fed examples, the DLA and the Air Force. But the point here is, and I want to emphasize, is that both what we're doing in state and local law enforcement and the Fed all runs on AIware, that same common platform. So it's very efficient in terms of economies of scale for us as a business, is I can use the same technology stack to service Beverly Hills Police Department. I can use the same technology stack to service ESPN, and I can using the same technology stack to use to service the Air Force. Very efficient business model.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you start to think about the use cases, the sky's kind of the limit here as we produce more and more data each and every day with the advent of all these AI apps and cameras and smartphones. Now, we talk about these different use cases in terms of how that translates into revenue for the business. Are you able to share current run rates, any year-end exit run rate targets, anything like that that we could be looking forward to as potential investors?
Well, I think we just gave an updated guide. So again, I would encourage people to go to our website to get, the latest, greatest information. But, we did provide a guide of 107 to 115 million in terms of a revenue guide for the entirety of the year. That puts us and presents a great growth rate. And we expect that growth rate to continue not only through the course of this year, but into next year. Our business model is mostly SaaS. And I'll say, some elements of license-based revenues. Most of our commercial AI software is more traditional monthly reoccurring SaaS. In the Fed space, it kind of varies between reoccurring SaaS, but also big licensing. Because we're deploying sometimes our software into these network isolated environments, our software is actually running on our client servers. And so it's more of a classic like enterprise software model as compared to a recurring SaaS model. But those are I think the dominant flavors of how we generate revenue is either ratable monthly SaaS or more bulk licensing revenues, particularly with the federal government.
Sure. Yeah, and appreciate you sharing some of those numbers. Now, another slide that caught my attention were some of the key growth drivers for Veritone. So you talk about the opportunity, obviously the revenue guidance increasing in the right direction. Can you give us an update on some of these key growth opportunities moving forward as well?
Yep. I think it's highlighted by obviously net new customers. So our pipeline is dominated by I'd say an ever increasing pipeline of net new logos. So newer additional agencies in the DoD, additional agencies in Fed Civ, like other agencies in the Department of Justice, but also, and this is key, growth within existing accounts, doing more. As I mentioned on our earnings call, this is now our third contract. It's expanded a ton, but this is actually our third contract now with the Air Force. So what we've shown is not only have we landed certain big accounts and enterprises, we're able to grow those accounts. So this is really exciting where for our growth prospects, because we deal with such large enterprises as the Disneys, ESPNs of the world, as well as the large agencies like the Air Force in the DoD, we have the opportunity not only to bring new big customers on board, but also grow revenue lines within existing customers. So again, that duality is going to provide us great visibility for growth into the years to come.
Yeah. Now, that's a nice segue into kind of our final question here. In terms of closing thoughts or what's on the horizon, upcoming catalysts, if there's anything maybe we haven't touched on or key milestones that people should be watching for moving forward.
Well, I'll just double tap again on what we talked on our earnings call today. VDR, Veritone Data Refinery, is a huge opportunity for us. The need for high quality, high scale audio and video for training the next generation AI models is insatiable. And we're one of very few customers that kind of checks all the boxes of being in the right place, the right time, with the right technology stack to help service these things. We're talking again about petabytes of data. You're talking about trillions of tokens, if you want to, represent audio and video in data science speak. And so I think Veritone is in a fantastic position. So our direct addressable market for VDR is huge. So I want people to understand that. And again, if you want to see reference points of companies that have done this and grown successfully, Scale AI is a good company that people should look at when they're trying to understand the opportunity size of VDR. But also companies, and they just were recently taken private and merged with Getty Images, but a company, Shutterstock. Shutterstock grew kind of their data services business from like zero to over like $150 million in just a few years. So Veritone specifically for us, VDR is a great growth vehicle for us for the years to come. The second thing was the Air Force contract that we just recently announced is the tip of the iceberg. It takes a while to break into the Fed space and the DoD space, as you can imagine, but we've landed, and I think really this is the tip of the iceberg. And so we're excited to not only grow the accounts that we've recently signed, but I think Veritone will be a premier name in the DoD AI space for many years to come.
Sure. Yeah, Ryan, we really appreciate the time today. Congratulations on the Q2 results here. A lot of positive momentum for the story, Veritone and the organization. You guys, if you have any additional questions, leave them in the comment section below. We'll leave the corporate website and obviously your social media accounts linked as well if you guys want to get more information. If you're still watching, hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe. Thanks so much, Ryan, for your time. We'll see you back here soon.